Hello, hi friends. My name is Harvansh and thank you for watching my other video about Intune tutorial. So today we are going to talk about the conditional access in Intune, or you can say in the Azure AD. So let me start this video. We'll understand what is the conditionally access, where we can use and how we can use it, the conditional access. So let me start this video. So I'm under the Intune console and let me go to the devices. Under the devices, you can see the option here, conditional access. So we're going to talk about more into this option, how we can utilize this, how we can configure the policy and how we can deploy on it. Similar way, you can access the conditional access in your from the Azure Active Directory. So once you log in into Azure portal.azure.com, you can search the conditional access or you can find it here, the conditional access. So if you didn't find out, you can just search in this bar like a conditional access. So both are the same option, and if you use it through the Intune console or if you use it from the Azure Active Directory. So usually this conditionally access is from the Azure Active Directory feature, that is a similar reflection in your Intune console, I mean the MEM console. So let me start this. So here is the overview. We can go one by one step and we can understand the. So let us talk about what is the conditional access. So conditional access is like your access will provide with a certain of the condition in the sense if it is if it is met with the few of the conditions or the few of the rules and regulations, the condition we create and the rules we defined, if it is followed, then then user will get access. If not, then user won't be allowed to access the company resources. So that is all about the conditional access. So like the access which is relevant to few of the condition, which is include few of the conditions which we define to access the company resources like the SharePoint, Teams, and the other things, or the any of the admin console like MEM console or other things. So if we put some condition over there in this policy, then it is comes under like a conditionally access. So let us understand this more, how it will work. So overview, you can see in it like the how the conditionally access is applied, the policy snapshot is to is enabled off. So this is something like a reporting part where you can easily you can see how many users has one no policy is applied, monitor the users or view the all the policies, how many policies that's created or implemented. Let me go here, like how many policies are created as a conditionally access. So here you can see in the status, here is the three policies. These are like a default policies which we enabled, and this is the one of the test. So this is test policy in a state is off, so that policy is available but it has not implemented. It's not in an active mode, so this policy won't be work on end user machine. These two policies are in a on state, so these policy are applied to end user machine or the users. Here is like a inside and the reporting. So when you configure your log analytics, you will get the more detail into your the reporting. So I still have not enabled my the log analytics. So once it enabled, you can get the report about your the conditionally access diagnostic and solve the problem. So here you can see in the few of the troubleshooting steps, which is mentioned like a problem. When you are facing some problem in your the conditionally access which you applied, it's like a problem configuring the policy for the application. If you click here, then you can get the few of the articles which is linked to the directly Microsoft site. So you can go here, you can use for your the troubleshooting purpose, and these are the things. If you want the link, you can just click here, it will redirect to directly Microsoft site. So that is the good point, where we can find out few of the troubleshooting steps here, or we can resolve the our issues. Let us go to the manage location, named location. So what is the named location and where we used it? So named location, you can create based on your the location or the IP addresses where you want to assign the location, which location your client is belong to. Like I can say I belong to India, India. I mention it, so con I can configure here, like determine the IP address or the location. I can put it the India, so automatically it will detect it. I can do that. I India. So I can select this and directly I can create it, or either I can use the IP range also. So here, how we can use the IP range? It's like, let me go and see it 1 second. I'm sorry. So this is for the location. So you can assign here the location only. Like let me go and select the India, and just let me create this. This is for the country's location, and here I can define based on the IP range. Now let me mention it's like a India location, and here I can add the IP addresses 192.168.20.0.1 162418, or whatever you want the IP ranges you want to give it. So just I put it some random. When you are working in the production, so you can take your own IP addresses, pick up from your the region which you want to create the location. So this location is going to used inside your conditional access, where you want to locate your the location, and you want to restrict it, or you want to allow, like you want to include this location in your policy, or you want to exclude any particular location under the conditionally access. Now, here is a custom role. So, custom role is something where you want to use the any other third-party application, or that application not managed by the Microsoft, or it is not listed in your the Intune portal. So that you can configure here the with the custom rule. You can provide it the name, app ID, client ID, discover URL, control ID. So how to utilize this option? I will be pasting a link from the Microsoft site, so you can utilize the custom control. Now, terms and conditions. So terms and condition is something relevant to, like if the user accepted the terms, and then only user will get the access, or it will allow to that particular conditional policy on that user. So when is user trying to access any resource, internal company, and that user applied the conditionally access, so we can configure this terms top of that user. If you accepted the terms, then only the policy will applied, or then user will granted the access to particular that policy. So here you can mention it the policy name, anything. So this is like a policy terms policy you can mention, or anything whichever you like it. The display name, what will be the display name? And here is the you can put you can upload your the terms policies what you created for your company. You can put it on the PDF format, and then you can put it the language, what are the language you want to use. And here is like required the user explain to terms, and terms of use require the user contact consent or the every devices, or it's depend on you how you want to configure it. So you can mention it's like the when is the expiry date for this terms. So this is the use for this terms, and if you want to put this policy, you can apply to on your the conditional access. So let's talk about the VPN connectivity. So VPN connectivity, this option mainly used to generate the certificate when you are utilizing the VPN feature in Intune. So here how you can do that, you can select it the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year option for your the certificate to connect the client over the VPN connectivity. So let me generate it one and I show you. So it's not difficult. Now you can see in it today I generated um, the certificate that is generated on 29 today date, and it's going to expire right after the 3 years. So in 2024 it's going to expire. So if you want to generate any certificate which going to used on your the VPN connection, that you can use it from here, and you can download the certificate as well if you want to use it. So you can go here and you can get this the certificate which is generated, and that will used for your the VPN connection, and then you can deploy to the end user site. Now authentication context, so this is something relevant to where you want to protect your the application and the company data, so you can put it like a authentication context over here. The classic policy, so we don't have for the moment any of the classic policy here. Once how can I show you, so let me find out the way how can I create and show you. Let me show you the sign in logs. So this option will give you the track who logged in when, and it will track your the location as well. I can see it. I'm getting the location. I logged in into the Azure portal. That is login on 29/12 to 54, and that is a login. The location is in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. So that is the location when the any of the user has logged in um, into your Intune, and it utilize the conditional access, then it's tracked by this the conditionally access concept. And it is the authentication is a single factor authentication is used to log in into the portal. So you can use this option to track when which user has login, when it login, and which location the user logged in. The audit log is something is relevant to where you want to track the changes. What are the changes you have done when you done the changes? So here is the option to select 24 hour. If you want to changes, you can select it, the custom inverter, custom interval, 7 days, 1 month. So any of the time range you can give it. So I'm giving the 24 hours. What are the changes done in the last 24 hours? So you can see in it. It's we can go start from here like a application. In the application management there was a few changes happen, like this certificate under the VPN server. So this is the update, user principal, remove the principals. I removed the one certificate, so that's why it's showing. And recently I shows you how to generate the certificate for the VPN connectivity. So that logs you can track over here. So this is the update service principle. That means is it was under the process to create the certificate, and it's like add a service principal credential. So it's created a your one VPN certificate. So here you can see in it this part which is tracked um, to that user has created the certificate. And here is you can find out the identities initiated by the actor who initiated this action. So this admin at the rate once us dot on microsoft.com user created a VPN certificate. So that is the all about the features. And here is a some of the virtual assistant preview. So let me show you. This is going to help you to answer your some of the questions where you want to uh, talk to like a virtual assistant. So this is a nice feature, like I want to check the conditionally access, I have a question, so I can just paste it here, and this virtual assistant immediate will response me with the some of the article like what is the conditionally access is giving the option, and this is like a modern security perimeter now extend to beyond of the organization. And if you want the more details, so you can go here, you can go like what is the conditionally access, the signal decision enforcement, and this is the article. It's showing how the conditionally access work, the common signals, the common decisions, and the commonly applied policy. So the whole idea of this, if you need any help, any assistance, so you can talk or you can text to the virtual assistant. So if you need like a self-service password reset, how you can do that? You can paste your question over here and you can get the detail. So it's giving you troubleshooting self-service password reset, and you can get the link as well. So here you can go the troubleshoot self-service password reset in Azure Active Directory. So this is a very nice feature what I feel Microsoft added into Intune, and this will give you the right document or right article to understand your question or answer your question. Or we can just say thank you. How it going to respond here? Let's see how it will work. So you are welcome. So that's how you can ask the questions here in the virtual assistant. If you want to log a case with Microsoft, so here is a one more option like new support request. You can submit it like it's for the technical, it's for the billing, or it's for the subscription management. What type of issue you have, you can mention over here, or what the issue you are facing. You can just select like the signed in the multi-factor authentication, so you can select it. Summary you can provide it. Access you can like the problem type, what type of problem you are having, you can select any of the problem. And then inside the problem you can give the some more detail. MFA registration I'm facing problem, and here is the summary where you can mention your the issue detail, and then you can go with the next. And then it will be the recommended solution, it will give the additionally detail, and then a review and create. So you can create a support request from this portal as well. Now let us go back again on the policies, and here is the option to create a policy. It's like a create a new policy and create a new policy from the template preview. So let's understand first this the create policy from the template overview. So once you click here, you have the two options, identity and the device. So here is a two types of template which Microsoft created. You can get at the by default here, that is categorized by the identity and the devices. So let's understand the identities or what we get here under the identity. So under identity we have these many options like we can go and review the one by one. So require the multi-factor authentication for admins. How it going to work? So multi-factor authentication for the privileged administrator account to reduce the risk of compromise. This policy will target to the same role as the default security role. So once you click here view the policy, you can get the more detail about this policy, what this policy will do. So this policy will be like a assignment user and the groups. You can apply that over the user and groups, excluded the current user, and include directory in the sense where this policy is going to affect. So this is going to implement on the all global administrator, application administrator, authentication administrator, admin. So all types of administrator include here. So once you implement this policy, then all the administrator need a multi-factor authentication to log in on the relevant portal. Like I am using the Intune portal. So if I activate this multi-factor authentication, then I need I need to use the multi-factor authentication before login. So once I log in, I need the multi-factor authentication. So this will apply to my admin account. But if we talk about a normal user which is enrolled into Intune, they won't be impacted. This policy is only for the all the administrator who is going to use the console, not the end user. And let's see over here, like securing the info registration. Secure when and how the user register for the Azure AD multi-factor authentication and the self-service portal. So when the user is going to register in the Azure AD, so it requires the multi-factor authentication. If you want the user need to register, user is trying to register into the Azure AD, then that is required the multi-factor authentication. So you can select this option. So here you can gather more details. This is like a template type as the identity and where it will assign all user and group, include the users. All user by default is included, exclude user, all guest. So this policy won't be applied to the guest, and the external users and the current user. So this policy will applied for all the users except to the guest and the external users. A guest and the external users is outside of your company. And like a excluded the directory role. So here is the global administrator is by default excluded. So these excluded users, all guests and the external users, and the roles is by default excluded by the global administrator. So for the global administrator, this policy won't be applied. Okay, let's take example. If I am a global administrator and I am trying to enroll the device, then I won't use, or the pop-up won't become for the multi-factor authentication. If any of the normal user which is not a part of the global administrator, then it required the multi-factor authentication. And here is a user action: register security information, include location, any location, and exclude all trusted location. And here is a grant action: require the multi-factor authentication. Okay, so now let us understand the block legacy authentication. Let us understand this. So block legacy authentication endpoint that can use to bypass multi-factor authentication. If you want to bypass your multi-factor authentication, you can use the uh, this option: block the legacy authentication. So basically legacy authentication as bypass to your multi-factor authentication. But in case you want to stop your the bypass for the multi-factor authentication, you can block your legacy authentication as well. So for the my experience, legacy authentication is used for the service accounts, where we we use this account usually for the automation, and we do not want to put like a multi-factor authentication. Suppose a script is running in the very late night, there is no one to approve your multi-factor authentication. No one is there to you approve your MFA. All right. So that script automatically, that's username password should take in, and it should run the script without any of the user intervention required, without any MFA. So if you want to stop or you want to block that authentication also, so you can use the block legacy authentication. Now here is a required multi-factor authentication for all user. So how this policy will work: required multi-factor authentication for all user account to reduce the risk of compromise. If you are using this option, so that is for the all user, but if I can see in it, this option, yeah, this is for something different. That is like the exclude for the all guest and the external user, and that is for the securing security info registration. So this option is used for the registration, but this is for all users, not about not talking about the registration and the other thing. For the all the tasks, like when user has tried to login or user trying to access any of the resources, user required a MFA authentication. Now, require the multi-factor authentication for cast. So in this scenario, if you seen it's the include users, we have all users. So this, if you select this option, then the all users for all types, even though you are the guest or in internal user, all users, this policy will apply. But this MFA is like just for the guest. So this is for the all guest and the external users. So usually we never applied a multi-factor authentication for the external users. It's always used for the internal users. Now let's see, require the multi-factor authentication for the Azure management. You can use this option as well, like the multi-factor authentication for the Azure resources. If you go here and you can see it's for the all users, and that is for the cloud app is the Azure management. So if you seen it's like if you're the Azure is managing that app, you can put the multi-factor authentication over there. Required multi-factor authentication risky sign in. So when this is like something when the this user sign in detect as a risk, user in a risk sign in is a risk, or there is a some possibility to leakage the data, or there is any potential risk, then you can apply this policy. And in the similar way, it's like the change the high risk user. So these all about your the policies or what are the available under identities. And I know guys this is became a very big video, but multi-factor this conditionally access is really big topic. So if you want to enable any of the policies, you can go here, you can just on, and you can read the conditions. What is it? Does it look forward out, or this policy impact the Azure portal? And make sure the current administrator account will automatically will be the excluded by the other policy in the policy creation. Consider using the report mode to begin with. So here is a read-only mode you can put it, and if you want to create the policy and you don't want to implement, you can select off. And the similar way you can use for the all, like any of the policy you can select, and you want to utilize this, so you can utilize your option. Okay, so now let's go with the next. And what are the policy we selected? We used this one, and then we can create this policy. So this policy will create in off mode. It's not implemented. Once you want to create it or you want to implement it, so what you can do, you can make it on. Like this is off, this is off. So you can go here again, and then you can modify it. So like here if you see it's where the user, it's the workload identity, so you can assign the all users, or if you want to assign any specific directory role, like this role was implemented for the all the roles, and if you want to implement on the some specific, so you can go and search out, and you can remove other unwanted administrator. If you want to implement just only for the some specific, let me remove other users, and here you can put it like Intune administrator. So I want to implement it just only for the Intune administrator. Cloud app, if you are going to restricted the particular app, yes you can do. You can go here and you can select the app, which app you want to restrict it. But here as we selected the Intune, so for these administrative user will be restricted to particular this your app. The conditionally access, the user risk and all. User risk will be like a high or low. First you have to select yes, and this is like a condition where this condition met, then only user can able to log in into the Intune console, or then he can utilize the services. Let me select it. The sign in risk. So sign in risk, if you want to add the sign in risk, you can go and select it, the few of the sign in risk based on your requirement. The devices, if you would like to restrict it, this policy to only for the Windows or the Windows Phone, you can restrict it, or you want to include the this thing Android, iOS, Windows, so you can select the device platform as well here. Locations, as we created a location, so if it is comes under the specific location and you want to restrict it over there, like we created like India location, and the India, this is for relevant to IP range, you can select the location. If the user fall under this particular IP range, then only it can allow, or it can grant access to your the policy. If it is not under that, if it is not met with this condition, then user won't be granted to access. The client app, like the browser, how the client is going to use that app with the browser or the mobile app. So you can select here whichever you want. Legation authentication, access active sync, or the any other thing. Now here is a, so you can go with the one by one, and I will be pasting the link, the Microsoft link, where you get the more detail about the policy in depth, because this is like a really very big topic and hard to cover of all the points here. So grant access, what will happen once you're the condition match, and then what will happen? So you want to allow or block it. So you can allow and require the multi-factor authentication, or require the device mark as a compliance, and you can select the require the hybrid Azure AD devices. So you can assign the access or the grant access or using these policies. So if you want to set up like a require the password change, so what will happen when these are the condition match, then user will get a prompt to change the password. So here we can set up a required multi-factor authentication selected, and this is like a session. um, Let it come and we'll see it. So session, how you want to use it? Use the app enforce restrictions, use the conditionally access app control, or the sign in the frequency the presence. So if you want to use it, you can use that. So once you are ready with these are the things, you can just save it. Still this is an under the off mode. If you want to make it the on, you can just go here and you can implement it. So these policy will apply to your all Intune administrators, Intune administration. Okay, so now here is a one more option for the device. Let us go and quickly understand these part also. So require the compliance or the hybrid Azure AD join device for the admin. So this policy is dedicatedly assigned to the all the administrator that we see in it, all the require administrator, and how it will work. The require the device to be marked as a compliance, or the require the hybrid Azure AD join. So if you select this option, so what exactly it needed? Either machine is a compliant, or this is part of the hybrid Azure AD joined, then only the access will allowed, and we'll see it more into that. Block access for the unknown or unsupported device platform. So if you go with this feature, then it will block your the access for the unwanted users, like block the unknown and the unsupported devices. And here is the non distance browser session. If you are utilizing this and you are accessing your um, your Intune console or any other console. So and that is like a under comes under the unmanaged device, that console is accessing with the unmanaged device, or accessing with the unmanaged user access from the unmanaged device. So what will happen, that user console will be logging off, log out frequently every hour. And here is a require the approved client app and the app protection. So this option basically used to prevent the data loss. You can protect your data on the end user devices, like here it's showing the include the devices type, also the Android, iOS. So you cannot apply this feature on the Windows machine, and the similar way you can see in it for the others as well. This feature is for what? So this feature you can apply on the devices not restricted here, and this for the users, and this is for the devices. So device platform, Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, you can use on these particular devices. And here this is for the app, cloud apps, and the similar way you can check it here. This feature is only can allowed on the Android and the iOS. So these things you cannot apply it on the Windows machine. The similar way you have here require the compliance or the hybrid Azure AD joined or the multi-factor authentication for all users. You can utilize that, and that is can implement on the Windows, Mac OS. And guys, so these are you can check out. And once you are ready, once you are the finalize, you can just select it on or the off. You can go with this, and you can implement, create the policy, and later on it's again up to you, you want to change anything inside the policy or not. So let me go here and see. So this is like a hybrid Azure ready join. Randomly I create this policy. So again the same thing is where you want to implement this. So directory role, if you want to implement on the directory role, not for all types of administrator, I want to be restricted just only for the Intune. So you can just remove all these administrator, and you can just select the Intune administrator. So this policy will be restricted to particular the Intune administrative user. And the similar thing, you can assign the app, can create a conditionally access, which I shows you earlier. You can grant the access, how it's going to work, require the device mark to compliance, require the hybrid Azure AD join. So you can select that, and the session you can select, and then you can save your data here. So that's how you can use the inbuilt templates there, which is provided by Microsoft. And let us understand now the create new policy, how you can create. So this is also like a similar way we can use it here. Here you can mention anything like CONDITION, conditionally access testing, I can say. So here you can create your own. If you don't want to use like your inbuilt conditionally access, go here, and where you want to apply this conditionally access. So you can select for the all users or non users. You can give it the user list, or you want to include, you want to exclude something from the Active Directory role, or the users and the group. So you can exclude that, you want to allow for the few of the users, so you can select all the users and exclude whichever you don't want. And here it's like the cloud app. So if you want to include or exclude the cloud app, you can select it, restricted here. And here is the conditionally, which already I explained you how you can do that. So you can create your the conditional conditions over here, and you can set the locations and all. And the finally this policy will be created. Okay, so grant I have to select it must. So grant, like I can say the multi-factor authentication I required, and I need to set up here the condition. So risk this and the app device state and this. So once all these things are created, then we can save the information. So now guys, here I shows you how you can use the template identity devices, and how you can create like a new policy with your own. And here I shows you the option as well, which is like a policy in on state, on off state, and the read only state. So once you complete this, and you can see the changes on the end user machine. So guys, thank you for watching this video. See you soon on my next video with some new new topic. Thank you guys.